Verily all the praise, all of the gratitude, all of the magnitude, all of the servitude, it should be directed to Rabbul Izzah, Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, Jalla fi Ulah. And I inwardly and I outwardly declare, without any compulsion or without any coercion, to La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. My dear brothers in Islam, my dear sisters in Islam, as a person who embraced Islam more than 30 years ago, when I looked into Islam and I started to understand a little bit about Islam, I sit down and I look back to what are the things that helped me to understand what Islam was. What were the key components for me to understand that I need to be more conscious of God? And I can remember back in grade 11 or grade 10, there was a young sister, Muslimah, not wearing a hijab at that time, but she had a little pendant on her that said Allah. And I asked her, what does that say? And she said, it said Allah. And I said, yes, I've heard of the God known as Allah. And I think that that's the God that I worship, but I'm not really sure. So yeah, at that time, I started to want to know more about Allah Ta'ala. At a young age, growing up in a family where my family, they're Christian, trying to learn about Allah in a concealed situation where they didn't really know what I was up to, what I was researching, what I was going through internally, And then Allah blessed me to come across a translation of the book of Allah, the Quran. And I started to read it, And I started to understand and learn more about Allah. But now when you come into Islam, and you have brothers and sisters that were born Muslim, and you see Muslims robbing, stealing, cheating, doing all types of horrible things, you think maybe that the Muslims, they never learned who Allah is. I myself, I need to know who Allah is. You need to know who Allah is. And that's why the scholars of Islam, they went on to say, اعلم رحمك الله أنه يجب علينا تعلم معرفة الله أسمائه وصفاته وذاته وأفعاله. This is what the scholars, as I'm holding up an old ancient book written by a scholar who was born 223 and he died 311. His name was Ibn Khuzaymah, rahimahullahu, rahmatullahi wasi'ah, radiyallahu an, because he's from the first Khair al-Nas Qarni. He wrote a book called Kitab al-Tawheed wa Ithbat al-Sifat al-Rabb Azza wa Jal, ya ikhwan, with what they call Asanid Thabita Sahiha. Every chain of narration goes back, ya ikhwan, to, ya ikhwan, the first generations. So when we look, trying to understand Asma'ihi, Allah's names, Sifatihi, Allah's attributes, Dhatihi, Allah's essence, wa Af'alihi, Allah's actions, ya ikhwan. And I was having some discussions with some Muslims, and they said, does Allah have actions? And I said, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Nothing happens, ya ikhwan, without Allah's permission. Everything that Allah decrees, ya ikhwan, is from Allah Azza wa Jal. So it shows you, ya ikhwan, that me and you and the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we need to make what is known as al-ruju' ila usul, going back to the original foundations from the scholars from the past, and from the ulama, and from the sahaba, and the tabi'een, and the salihin, and the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam to understand this topic, ya ikhwan. So when we look at it, ya ikhwan, one of the great poets in Islam, he started off one of his books and he went on to say, أعلى بذاته فوق خلقه من علمه لم يخل في الأرض موضعي. That the poet said, he is lofty, talking about Allah, in his essence above his creation. Moreover, there is not a place on the earth from which his knowledge, ya ikhwan, is absent. So this will make somebody understand, or try to understand, how could a Muslim, and this happens all across North America, how could a Muslim go into the Seneca box shaking his hand. Not worried about the camera that's catching him. Later on the police get called and he goes to jail. But Rabbul Izzah is watching. And Allah, He has a surveillance team, ya ikhwan, from the angels. We're not talking about it. We're talking about a person stealing, ya ikhwan. Because the Muslims, unfortunately, they have not, ya ikhwan, they have not given Allah Ta'ala. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. If you ask most of the Muslims what is the istilahi meaning of Allahu Akbar, the scholars said it means Allahu Akbar min kullu shay. Allah is greater than everything. So how is it, ya ikhwan, that a Muslim could be in Jumu'ah praying or sitting listening to the khutbah and a phone call comes in, either while he's making the salat like I've seen, the phone rings, he picks up the phone, I'm in salat, I'll call you back later. Or he's in the khutbah, which is an act of ibadah, and he starts to text during the khutbah. He hasn't given a just estimation to Rabbul Izzah, the Lord of the Lords. Imagine, ya ikhwan, you're in the court, and the judge asks you to come forward, and you get a phone call and you answer, say, yeah, I'm sitting in front of the judge right now, man. I'll get back to you later. Or the judge is talking to you and you're texting. You would never do that. This shows you, ya ikhwan, that we have not estimated Allah Ta'ala. We are talking about, ya ikhwan, for inna ashraf ulum. The most noble science, ya ikhwan, is the science of ma'rifatullah, knowing who Allah is. Wa huwa ilmul tawheed. It is the knowledge of tawheed. Sifat al-kimal, wa jimal, ulum al-deen. That Allah, He is complete and He's perfect in His attributes, ya ikhwan. And this is wajib upon us. So we find, ya ikhwan, when we look at Allah Jalla fi Ula, the ithbat nafsihi, knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, knowing His qualities, ya ikhwan, based upon what is in the book of Allah and the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now we need some dalil, brother. All that's good, all that yelling and screaming, but brother, we need dalil, ya ikhwan. This is what we need to condition ourselves, ya ikhwan. Okay, the sheikh said this, the brother said that, the doctor said, okay, where is the dalil? Where is the dalil? Where is the dalil? That's what we need to be built upon, ya ikhwan. وقال الله تعالى هل تعلم له سميا. Do you know Him to have any equal? Rabbul Izzah. We should be scared of Allah because He has no equal. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. Nor is there any equivalent to Rabbul Izzah. So ya ikhwan, also, so do you know better, or does Allah? أَأَنْتُمْ أَعْلَمُ أَمِ اللَّهِ. أَأَنْتَ أَعْلَمُ أَمِ اللَّهِ. Does Allah know Himself better, or do we know Allah better, ya ikhwan? The issue is when we come to the masjid, my dear brothers, this is supposed to be a place of sanctuary. And about 10 years ago, I was in the old masjid downtown in Hamilton. And I was sitting in the masjid, and I heard. So all the brothers, most of them new to the country, they're like, what's this? They just sat, they mind their business. But for me, the way I grew up, I mean, who's banging on the masjid door? So I went, and I never lived in Hamilton. I went down there to investigate, and there was a non-Muslim guy breathing hard. What's wrong? What's wrong? Oh, the guy is trying to kill me. He has a knife. Can I come in? What do you think? Yes, come into the house of Allah. This is a place that is pure. And if someone comes into the house of Allah looking for refuge, we're supposed to give them that. Why? So they can hear the book of Allah. Then about 2 minutes later, the guy with the knife came. So what I said at that time, I said, what do you want? He said, the guy's up there, he stole my son. I said, hey, listen, he's in the mosque now, you can't come in. And I had a big stentorian voice, very loud, very powerful. But I said, when he comes out, he's none of our business. But while he's in here, he's under our protection. This is Islam, ya ikhwan. But if people come to the masjid now, I would be ashamed, ya ikhwan, to let my mother sometimes come to the masjid, ya ikhwan, and see the filth of the Muslims in the washrooms. And also, ya ikhwan, we've been warned over and over all throughout the city of Toronto. The firemen coming and seeing the shoes all disheveled in the masjid, ya ikhwan. This is Allah's house. This place should be cleaner. And it's not the responsibility only of the brothers that are running the masjid. It's all of our responsibility, ya ikhwan. So much so, ya ikhwan, that a piece of lint like that's on the ground right there, brother, put that in your pocket, barakallahu feekum. A little piece of lint in the masjid on the floor where the Muslims make sujood to who? To Allah. This place, ya ikhwan, it is a place full of barakah. So the scholars, ya ikhwan, they brought in so many dalil. From it also they brought the ayah, فَلَا تَضْرِبُوا لِلَّهِ أَمْثَالًا إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَعْلَمُ وَأَنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. And do not strike any similitudes to Allah. Do not strike any similitudes to Allah. And brothers, the Muslims were in an uproar 20 years ago when there was a Nike billboard in New York City where they showed a guy playing basketball and he shot the ball and it said at the bottom, he shoots like Allah. The Muslims were upset. How dare you say something like that, ya ikhwan? You should make your blood boil. But now this is the question, ya ikhwan. Do we love Allah or we don't love Allah? Are we worshippers of Allah or are we worshippers of Hayat al-Dunya, my dear brothers? وقال الله تعالى وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثْلُ الْأَعْلَى وَهُوَ عَزِيزٌ حَكِيمٌ. And for Allah is the highest description, ya ikhwan. One of the things, my dear brothers, I have discussions with my non-Muslim Christian family all the time. And they tell me all the time, you don't love God. You love some foreign Arab moon god, as they say, and I try to tell them that in Arabic is older than English. And many of the Muslims, they need to study the Arabic language, ya ikhwan, because the ilah is a deity, the al-ilah is Allah. It's so beautiful, ya ikhwan. Within the language, ya ikhwan, the beauty of this language, the deity that deserves to be worshipped is Allah, ya ikhwan. So when we say Allahu Akbar, or if you hear the adhan, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, ya ikhwan, it should do something to your heart if your heart is alive. If you have any iman in your heart, ya ikhwan, ya akhawat, when you hear that voice of the mu'adhin calling you to what? يا أيها الذين آمنوا استجيبوا لله ورسوله إذا دعاكم لما يحييكم. Answer the call when Allah and His Messenger causes you to, which will bring your heart to life, brothers. We should be so happy to come to the masjid, ya ikhwan. Just today I got a message from a guy that I'm giving dawah, and I was telling him that as you get closer to Allah, you're going to see all types of tests come in front of you because the devil wants you away from Islam. And he texted me and he told me that 2 of his friends got shot in the street in the last couple of days. Allah knows best, he's really close to Islam, ya ikhwan. And sometimes, ya ikhwan, we need what is known as the replacements in the religion. Because many Muslims, and I got actually recently on my WhatsApp, I got a text of a sheikh who wrote to his grandchildren almost 100 years ago about Muslims leaving the lands of the Muslims and coming to the lands of the Westerners, where my people are originally from, as I got indigenous blood in me. Leaving from the lands of Iman and coming to the lands where Islam is not here. We have to rectify our intentions, brothers. He wrote to them about the test and the fitna, ya ikhwan. As I have met Muslims named Mike Muhammad, Lucy Muhammad, Assalamu alaikum. Oh, I'm not Muslim. My grandfather, he was a Muslim, but I'm not Muslim. Showing you, ikhwan, that this is the meat grinder here. People are losing their children every day, as I was with some brothers yesterday. And they were telling me about some of the kids that are going astray in Brampton and Mississauga. And then one of the new Muslims, ya ikhwan, I just found out yesterday, one of the new Muslims, ya ikhwan, having problems with his iman. He got into some bad business deal and he killed somebody just recently. And I just found out. And the brother asked me, what is it that we didn't do? I said the support system for the new Muslims, La Yujid, doesn't exist basically. So my dear brothers, there's certain rights that the masjid has. Until we give the masjid its rights, until we give our brothers their rights, how do we expect that we get our rights back from our brothers? Ya ikhwan, I've come to many masjids and I've extended my hand with peace. Assalamu alaikum. I didn't come out like this. Daram alaikum, let me knock you in your face. I didn't come like that. And the Muslims sometimes, kif halik, that's the response. MashaAllah, that's the response. How are you, brother? That's your response. Akhi, I'm making dua for you that as-salam, one of the attributes of Allah, that He gives you salam and He gives me salam, and you tell me kif halik? Obviously, my brother, he doesn't know what salams means. So my dear brothers, we're in a time, ya ikhwan, where I've seen Muslims call upon other than Allah. They never understood إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. وقال الله تعالى فَلَا تَجْعَلُوا لِلَّهِ أَنْدَادًا وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. And do not ascribe to Allah while you have knowledge. قُلِ قُلِ هَذَا أَسْتَغْفِرُ اللَّهَ وَأَتُوبُ إِلَيْهِ إِنَّهُ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah Ali al-Azim, As-Sami' al-Basir, Al-Hakim al-Kareem, Al-Latif al-Khabir, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. My dear brothers, these are some of the attributes of Rabbul Izzah. And there are some books that have been written from the scholars from the past and contemporary scholars breaking down this science. And one of the scholars, he wrote in his book, وَهُوَ فِي كُلِّ مَكَانٍ بِالْعِلْمِهِ, that He, Allah, He is everywhere with His knowledge and ikhwan. So how is it that the Muslim man, he abuses his children, he abuses his wife, the wife abuses the children, the wife abuses her husband, the brothers abuse each other, and they don't know that Rahman, Ar-Rahim. And this is the problem with the Muslims. Oh Allah, they say, oh brother, Allah, He's Ghafur Rahim. He is Rahman Rahim. Yes, this is true. But Allah is also Shadeed al-Iqab, severe in punishment. The Muslims, they don't want to talk about that. He's also Sari' al-Isab, swift in punishment. There's a balance here, man. It's not possible for a Muslim to think that he can steal from the masjid and expect, oh Allah, Ghafur Rahim, and there's no iqabat, there's no punishment in this dunya or the next. Something's wrong with the psyche of some of the Muslims. Ya akhi, if you really need some food, talk to your brothers. If you need some money and your brothers have it, talk to your brothers. No need to rob and steal, ya ikhwan. No need to cheat, ya ikhwan. But we don't like to be fooled, ya ikhwan. And this is one of the things me and the brother, we come from a background, we grew up around street hustlers and robbers and killers and all types of people like that. So when we see the Muslims do that, robbing, stealing, cheating, and killing, and then they come to us, we sit there and say, you're trying to be gangster? You're trying to be a robber? You're trying to be a con man? Are you serious with us? We have PhDs in Kufr, we left that for Islam. What's my credentials, ya ikhwan? You should ask me what my credentials are. Khiyarakum Jahiliyyah, Khiyarakum Islam. The best of you in the days of Jahiliyyah will become the best of you in Islam if Allah gives you comprehension. Why? وَأَقْسَهُ وَدِدَّهُ. We know the opposite of good, ya ikhwan, evil. We know it. And it's amazing, astonishing when Muslims, they try to come and bring evil to us. So what is wrong with you? Ittaqillah. And the Muslim gets upset when you say Ittaqillah. Ya ikhwan, I wish you brothers would tell me Ittaqillah. This is a good thing. I need to be reminded that I should be more conscious of Allah. As I told one Muslim recently, Akhi Ittaqillah. You know what he said to me? Instead of saying Barakallah Fiki, Akhi, we ended with this, he said, Akhi, you Ittaqillah. You Ittaqillah. As if I can't advise him now. I can be advised. You can be advised, we can be advised. Ya ikhwan, the tariq, qabl rafiq, this path is very long. If your friend gets off the path, you try to call him back, but you stay on the path. Ya ikhwan, because many of us, we forgot who Rabbul Izzah is. And there's going to come a time, ya ikhwan, I don't know about you guys, but I know I'm going to be standing barefoot, naked, and uncircumcised in front of Rabbul Izzah, and I'm going to be accountable for every single deed, everything that I said, everything that I seen, every person I harmed. I'm going to be asked. I don't know about you brothers. Maybe you brothers have some special deal. Maybe you're not going to be asked. But I know I am. So ya ikhwan, the fear of Allah, it should be in our hearts, ya ikhwan, And this is just the introduction. Inshallah ta'ala, we'll come back hopefully another day and we'll talk about Ma'rifatullah and all Allah Azza wa Jal. With that, أقول قولي هذا واستغفر وأتوب إليك وصلى Ismail فاستغفروه إنه غفور رحيم. And we're going to ask our brother to lead the salat, as inshallah ta'ala our brother, he'll be traveling very soon. And inshallah ta'ala.